Movie marketing can be a strange beast. Trailers, posters, and other such promotional materials exist to give potential viewers a sense of what to expect from the film in question, both in terms of tone and content. Yet while sometimes the marketing tells you way more than you needed to know in advance, there are also times when it leads you up the wrong path entirely. Sometimes it may be deliberate misdirection, sometimes the marketing people have just misunderstood the film they're trying to sell. Other times it's clear that neither the marketers nor the studio behind the film really care. I'm Gareth, you're watching What Culture, and here are 7 movies that were way weirder than advertised. Number 7, Drive. On paper, Nicholas Winding Refn's 2011 movie, Drive, seems like the simplest action thriller you could imagine. Ryan Gosling stars as a professional stuntman who moonlights as a getaway driver. But when the job gets personal, the young hotshot is out for revenge. As is pretty much the standard, the trailer cuts together snippets from the most action-packed moments in the film. Car chases, explosive collisions, fist fights, gunshots, that kind of thing. Along with this, it boasts many lines of dialogue from Gosling, which seems fair enough given he's the lead. The problem is, this gives the impression that Drive is nothing but high-speed action with a tough-talking romantic hero. In fact, things roll out at a much more languid pace with far greater emphasis on character than thrills and spills. Not only that, but the trailer seems to have utilized about 75% of Gosling's dialogue in the whole film, as his unnamed character hardly ever speaks at all. This marketing misdirection came back to haunt Drive too, as in one of the more hilarious lawsuits in recent memory, a disgruntled American cinemagoer tried to sue, arguing the marketing had suggested it would be more fast and furious than slow and somber. They had a point. Number 6, Drag Me to Hell. For many years now, there's been a tendency to sell every new horror movie that comes along as the most unbelievably terrifying thing you'll ever see. Understandable enough, given that horror movies typically hinge on, being scary. But oftentimes, there's a whole lot more to the picture. This was most certainly the case with Drag Me to Hell, director Sam Raimi's 2009 return to the genre in which he made his name. Alison Lohman stars as a young woman who finds herself cursed, with 3 days to save herself before she is condemned to eternal damnation. Sure, it sounds pretty sinister, and the marketing played up that angle. However, anyone who's seen the Evil Dead movies can tell you that Sam Raimi isn't one for playing his scares totally straight. Still, after the trailer promised a serious, scary movie, many viewers were bemused when the film proved to be a much more tongue-in-cheek slapstick affair. From Lohman's exaggerated car seat confrontation with Lorna Raver incorporating stationery and false teeth, to Raver vomiting maggots and shoving her whole fist directly into Lohman's mouth. Most of Drag Me to Hell's set pieces are played as much for laughs as scares. It's just the Raimi way. This wasn't what a lot of the audience expected, which might explain why the film underperformed a little at the box office. But happily, its reputation has grown in the years since. Which movie surprised you the most recently, folks? Let me know in the comments section right down below. We always love a surprise at the cinema, don't we? Well, most of the time. Number 5, Hulk. 2003's Hulk looked like a sure thing. Coming hot on the heels of X-Men and Spider-Man, Marvel Comics adaptations were rapidly emerging as the wave of the future. So a big screen outing for the Green Goliath was the next logical step. However, few, if any, were prepared for just how strange a film Hulk turned out to be. Director Ang Lee hadn't ventured into blockbuster territory before, and his attempts to balance out character-based drama with spectacular action were a bit off the mark. Some viewers were dismayed to see the title character doesn't even make an appearance until about halfway through. Yet despite Lee's emphasis on the drama, he did go to pains to capture a comic book feel, but in a very strange and probably misguided way, by literally inserting comic book style frames and odd image freezes into the shots. If all this hadn't already put some viewers off enough, let's not even get started on the incredibly strange and surreal climax, in which, if I'm being totally honest, I still have no idea what was going on. Small wonder then that Marvel chose to play things much safer with 2008's semi-reboot The Incredible Hulk, which fed into the MCU model we now know and sometimes love today. If you're having fun with this weird old video, then hit that subscribe button down below for even more What Culture lists each and every single day. Number 4. Observe and Report. The 2000s saw Seth Rogen emerge as one of the hottest new comedy stars around. Knocked Up, Superbad, and Pineapple Express established the Canadian actor and writer as a master of stoner humor with a lovable persona. So when Rogen's 2009 movie Observe and Report arrived, casting him as a mall security guard with an inflated sense of purpose, audiences doubtless anticipated something in much the same vein, particularly given that the film landed in the same year as Paul Blart's Mall Cop. I mean, the film's marketing did nothing to suggest otherwise. However, writer-director Jody Hill's film is considerably darker than its publicity and its leading man's persona might have implied. Rogen's security guard, Ronnie, isn't just a well-meaning dimwit. He's dangerously deluded and struggling with bipolar disorder. Anxious to win him the love of Anna Faris makeup counter attendant Brandy, he's become fixated on hunting down a flasher who's been terrorizing them all. The envelope-pushing humor includes the racial profiling of an Arabic retailer, peeping on women in the fitting room, beating up teenage skaters, and a rather controversial sex scene. It's not too surprising then that Observe and Report wound up Rogen's first real box office flop. Although it may be worth revisiting if you've got the stomach for it. Completely up to you though. Number 3. Crimson Peak. The name of Guillermo del Toro has always been synonymous with the supernatural. Every one of the Mexican director's films has in some way featured monsters and the macabre. And after taking a bit of a sidestep into sci-fi action with 2013's Pacific Rim, 2015's Crimson Peak seemed to promise a return to his old stomping ground. Not too much was widely known about Crimson Peak prior to release, other than it was a gothic period piece involving ghosts. The film's marketing didn't reveal much more beyond this, quoting Mia Wasikowska's dialogue about having seen ghosts all her life, in a manner that suggested the film would be another Sixth Sense. And studio Universal's decision to release it near Halloween furthered the impression that it was a horror film. That's kind of what you do near Halloween, you release horror films, don't you? However, while ghosts are indeed an element of Crimson Peak, they are by no means the driving force of the story. Del Toro had crafted not so much a standard chiller as a grandiose gothic melodrama in the 19th century literary tradition. Yeah, not a frame of reference that modern multiplex audiences are necessarily that familiar with. As a result, Crimson Peak left many horror fans a bit underwhelmed, and general audiences quite befuddled. Still, Del Toro would comfortably bounce back with his next effort, Oscar winner The Shape of Water. He did alright, our Del Toro. Number 2. The Grey. No one could have predicted the comparatively late career resurgence of esteemed Northern Irish actor Liam Neeson as one of the premier action stars of the early 21st century. Yep, did not see that coming. 2008's runaway hit Taken surprised everyone, and all of a sudden, the then 56-year-old thespian was a latter-day Charles Bronson. Further tough guy roles followed in the A-Team and Unknown. As such, when Neeson reunited with A-Team director Joe Carnahan for 2011's The Grey, it seemed reasonable to anticipate more of the same. The film's marketing certainly promised as much, the trailer establishing Neeson's character as a tough and manly security expert who must lead the few survivors of a downed plane to safety when they crash on a freezing mountain range populated by wolves. A lot of fans were immediately frothing at the mouth at the prospect of Liam Neeson fighting with wolves. Sounded like a blast. What pretty much no one anticipated, though, was that The Grey would in fact be a surprisingly somber, reflective drama, centered heavily on a man's contemplation of his own mortality. Obviously, Liam Neeson has an existential crisis was never going to be as easy a sell as Liam Neeson punches wolves, so it's not too surprising that The Grey's marketing pushed that angle. But this is a great misrepresentation of a film which really isn't an action thriller, even if it does boast some striking stunts and action sequences. Number 1. Spring Breakers. 2013's Spring Breakers looked like the easiest sell in the world. Take a bunch of pretty young women, 2 of them former Disney child stars, and dress them in tiny bikinis for just about the entire film. Then team them up with big-name leading man James Franco, and drop them all in a hip and edgy-looking crime thriller. How could audiences resist, eh? Well, quite easily as it turned out. Spring Breakers was the biggest, most mainstream-friendly work yet from indie filmmaker Harmony Korine. But despite casting the squeaky clean teen idols Vanessa Hudgens and Selena Gomez, the writer-director was by no means reining in his experimental and confrontational proclivities. The loud and brash marketing did little to prepare audiences for how abstract Spring Breakers proved to be. Shot and edited in a disorientating, not entirely linear manner with lines of dialogue frequently repeated. This may evoke the intoxicated mindset of the characters, but it also left a lot of the audience, fans of Gomez and Hudgens in particular, totally confused. Bad word of mouth soon killed the film at the box office. Even so, Spring Breakers has since developed a strong cult following, recognizing Korine's film as an intelligent and provocative satire on the social mores of the millennial generation and the troubled world they had been born into. Right, that's our list. Now go and continue your YouTube journey with another What Culture video right here. Enjoy!